to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host, Chantele Francis, with my amazing co-host, Drew. And is this for the last time that we're going to be talking about the Challenge Global Championships together?
It could be. I mean, I know the Challenge USA 2, after seeing a teaser around the Survivor this past week, that's going to be on the horizon, as well as All Stars 4 is also question mark when it's going to happen. So, I mean, even though this is the end of the World Championship, there is some more seasons on the horizon.
More seasons on the horizon. Well, that's right. We are talking about the finale, the final episode of the first season of the Global Championship. So, what are your overall thoughts, Drew? Do you feel satisfied? Do you think that for a season, in my opinion, that was pretty good? Do you think that it ended as great as it started? How are your feelings overall?
I actually sort of enjoyed the finals. I feel like that from the comments in my review and recap, there was a lot of mixed feelings. Some people felt like these were boring. This final was boring, that it was underwhelming, and other people said that they liked it. And I think maybe because of the recent finals in recent years of all the spinoffs just seeming like a take off of the 100-hour final, which also felt pretty underwhelming, and SLA was not that great either, in my opinion. So I thought it was actually pretty decent finals. It was definitely difficult. I hate to hear that there were some stuff that was edited out of these finals.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I thought it was a pretty good run for everybody. It was definitely one that I would not want to try to compete in.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you here. I mean, I think what they need to do is maybe start with some of the hard portion where it's just running or running up the mountain. Start with maybe stuff like that and then do, all the checkpoints and stuff like that later, or make the checkpoints for day 1 and day 2. Because I just found that day 2 was pretty underwhelming and there weren't really any opportunities to overtake. I know people did get overtaken, but it's pretty much to injury and fatigue. I wouldn't have minded if there was a little more checkpoints or something day 2 where it could kind of like have a little bit of intrigue and be like, oh my God, they're kind of hung up at this puzzle here, or they can't do this particular challenge, instead of just like pretty much just running.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's every single day too. They don't seem to be able to have a nice mix or an even feeling to both. And after hearing from Theo and some other challengers say that there was even more that was cut out from the very beginning. Apparently, they did like 3 or 4 hours worth of running / checkpoints before they even did Loops of Hell. So to know that they did all of that before even doing another 16 miles is wild. And I wish we would have gotten to see at
Yeah,
least some edit
why
of that.
couldn't we see any of it? Like, why did that not make sense for the edit? And then instead, day 2, we just see them running and then run up a mountain, then come run back down and get to a finish line. I just feel like what they left on the editing room floor seems a little bit more interesting than everything that they showed us.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always disappointed. First of all, I know that this was like 50 minutes. Why couldn't it have been an hour and a half? I mean, this is the finale. Just even touch on just some of the stuff that they were doing, even if it's not that fun for TV or that exciting or doesn't really change anything at the end of the day. I still want to know what everybody went through, even if you just touch on it a little bit and then move on. I don't know.
And I was out of town, and so I wasn't able to watch it like properly at home. And so usually I watch it from my computer, and I usually use on Paramount Plus, I use a VPN or whatever. And I forgot that it's on Canada's Paramount Plus, so I didn't actually need a VPN because the app doesn't allow me to use a VPN for the USA. And so I went to try to see if I could find a link for it, and then I got spoiled. Even though I pretty much knew that the winner was going to be the winners, but like it still was like annoying that like I got spoiled just because I was looking for a stream to watch the finale. I feel like it's the only show that everybody just like posts like who the winners are like immediately. I feel like it doesn't happen with every other show.
Yeah, I mean,
Like if I
well,
searched Survivor 43, the winner
hmm,
of Survivor 43 wouldn't automatically pop up. I don't think.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it does seem that way when I first started covering the show. It just seemed like everybody knew exactly who the winners were. And then slowly I found that like Bachelor stuff would come out pretty easily, and Big Brother is happening right in front of us. So that's like you can never get spoiled on
I
that.
don't mind
There was
but that, but
there was one time with Survivor though that I was actually covering the winners at war, or not winners at war. Was it winners? Yeah, it was winners at
40?
war. Yeah, see, I was covering season 40 because it was like momentous, and I kind of wanted to try my hand at covering it. And I just remember this one guy, one comment late in the season, he posted like the rest of how everybody was going to get eliminated. And I just remember it because the guy said Sophie was next, and I was like, "There's no way Sophie is next." I mean, she was in a really great position, and then all of a sudden she was gone, and I was like, "Well, that guy just spoiled the whole season for me. That sucks."
That
So I knew,
sucks.
yeah, I was like, I don't know how he found out. I thought it was iron locked from of a survivor's perspective, but then I found out like every show can get spoiled if you look hard enough, I guess. So
Now,
it sucked.
what's the like? Okay, I know that the episode aired, so like I'm not completely upset by being spoiled, but it was still the day of. Like it still just got released that day. It hasn't even been
Yeah.
24 hours since it's been released, so it's just kind of like a bit of an eye roll that like I can't make it through 24 hours without getting spoiled of the winner when it's on a streaming platform. But what do you
Oh
think
yeah.
it is about people having the desire to spoil? Is it like they know a secret and they want to tell everybody their secret, or like do people networks, do they spill the beans so that like there's buzz about their show? Like I don't really get it.
I don't know. I maybe people just want to be first at something, so they just want to be the first to kind of be like, I knew before everybody else, or hey, I was able to say something. That's how I feel about it. I mean, for real, I've had to like take Twitter off my phone because I don't follow or I don't want to follow certain accounts on certain times of the year because of like spoilers and everything. And for some reason, even if I don't follow the account, if multiple people that I follow that account and we like the same thing, like the challenge, they just they recommend it. They even notify me like, "Hey, check out this tweet from this person you don't follow," and then it could have a spoiler in it. Luckily, I've watched every episode like right away, like early in the mornings, but it's just like ridiculous. I hate that because it does feel that way though. People will wake up super early in the morning or follow all the spoiler accounts just so that they can kind of be the spoiler account in their own way, or a T account in their own way. And it's like,
So weird.
guys, I don't think it makes you look like super like smarter than anybody
Ooh.
else who hasn't watched the season yet just because you
It's
wanted to
like I'm
get
gonna
up like,
watch it
yeah,
eventually.
3 a.m. on the East Coast time to watch it just so you can post on Twitter what you thought of the winner and post all about the winner when it's like not everybody else has seen it. So yeah, it's frustrating.
So frustrating, but we do have friends here in the chat who aren't frustrating. We have Willie here. Willie's in
Woo!
class, but excited about All Stars 4. Did we get a date for any of these shows that are coming up after?
No, USA 2 just said coming this summer is what I read.
Lovable Nikki, hello. Rodrigo, Amaya, Robert. I mean, yeah, they did. They did. But like, I mean, I know you were saying that the final scene, something that you wouldn't necessarily want to do. And other than the fact that it was just running, like the hardest part was the running, I would say, and the eating the gross stuff. I would have to say that like it didn't seem that hard. Do you think it'd seem as hard as World of World 1?
No, I think War of the Worlds 1 is by far the hardest final in the show's history. But I mean, I don't want to run 16 miles in the desert sun after doing 3 to 4 hours of more running and something else. Like to me, that's way worse than I think all the campfire scenes in the 100-hour finals that they were trying to put out there.
Um So one thing like with the final, I kind of found that like there were some really, really good moments, I would say. Um I was pretty okay. But what was your favorite moment of the final? I'll ask you, and then
Oh
I'll
no,
tell you
sorry.
mine.
I looked something up that I was questioning in my mind. That's why I made a face.
But I decided to change my mind anyways. So I'm asking you first. What was your favorite moment in this final? Because I have a specific one, and I wonder if it's the same.
Favorite moment in the finals? I mean, it's hard. So I really enjoyed, I think, the train scene where everybody was like trying to keep each other
Yeah.
awake. I thought it was funny, entertaining. I mean, you're in a high stress situation and just seeing everybody have a good time, it kind of makes me question like why can't we see more of those moments throughout the season to cut some of the tension, cut some of the gameplay. I mean, I don't want the challenge to keep on like being heavy handed as trying to label themselves as the fifth major sport because I feel like we lose some of the qualities of the reality TV show that it, that's what it is at the end of the day. It's a reality TV show. It's like Survivor, and Survivor's not painting themselves as a fifth major sport. So kind of show us like different personality and fun entertaining moments as well as the gameplay, because I'll be honest, at some points the gameplay was like really questionable at times. Like, don't harp on that if the gameplay is going to be so illogical at times. Like, have some fun with it.
So Austin here is saying that apparently there was more to the sleep deprivation portion, but the punishment for falling asleep was so bad that everyone was helping everyone stay awake. That's probably why they didn't show that. And it was before that we heard that things weren't being shown. I have to agree with you, Drew. Though I was laughing and smiling when they're putting their faces in the ice bath, and then you see them throw the water in the like I think Jordan threw water in Kaz's face. I was like, that made me enjoy this final. That made me enjoy this group of characters because like that's what I love about reality TV is when people like have to work together and love each other and care about each other, but then they also have to compete against each other and win. And so I thought it was a really good balance of like friendship, kinship, partnership, but then
Mm-hmm.
also competitiveness. I was just laughing, smiling, like really endeared by that moment by everybody. I thought it was a shining moment for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I really like that. I really did like that moment. And I like that idea of the train. I just thought that they didn't push it far enough for calling it the Fear Express. I thought there was going to be way more
Fear,
stuff
hoping.
happening on the train, but it was actually their solace. I guess they were trying to
Maybe
make it
it's
seem
taking them
like,
to fear or
yeah,
scary
that's why.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fear Express, like we're taking you to fear. Even though I didn't find it to be that. Maybe I'm just like not oh my god, I can't talk. Misremembering, but like I just don't remember it being that bad. Cuz like the loops of hell, like yes, the running part sucked. The checkpoints, the only one that sucked really in my opinion was the gross food stuff. What was that station called?
Six smoothie stick, six
Smoothie
smoothie.
Sick. I mean, having it called sick is disgusting. But like what do we know what was in it yet?
No, but everybody says it's absolutely horrendous. Kaz on the Challenge Official podcast said that the way she had it, like the way to drink it, like it would, your body would automatically reject it. So I'm very intrigued on like what is in this. Like I want to know so bad.
So am I saying I like spoilers that it makes me want to watch? It actually makes me not want to watch.
I mean, there's like certain things where I'm like, for movies, I don't care about listening to spoilers because I'm gonna watch it anyways. And sometimes if you know what's coming up, you can kind of like see or try to like figure out how you get there or the journey or anything. But when it comes to like the challenge and reality TV, I just want to enjoy it. I just want to go on the
Yeah,
journey and
like
go for it.
it's like they're putting together something to and building a storyline. And
Yeah.
so like I want to be taken on that journey. I don't want to know what's happening because then I don't care about what's happening in the moment. Like if I were to be spoiled all the time, I wouldn't want to cover the season because like I'm not going to get any authentic takes. I'm not going to be able to really speculate about anything because I have to like just be careful about like what am I
Mm,
speculating? Is that like just because I know the outcome
true.
or am I saying that because like that's what I really thought before I knew what the spoilers are? So as someone that covers things, I do not like spoilers because it just makes what I have to say inauthentic.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean,
I definitely see that.
as a straight recap, okay. I mean, I don't. It wouldn't be my style, but like maybe it would make sense to look at spoilers. But as somebody that wants to critique and comment about people's gameplay, how can I do that when I know what the outcome is? I don't know. It's not my
True.
vibe. Not my vibe.
True.
With Big Brother, I look at the game a little bit differently. Like I don't care about the competitions and stuff like that. So being spoiled, like I watch live. So I'm watching it live. So I
Mhm.
don't mind knowing what's happening because like that's not what I enjoy about Big Brother, we'll say. But the challenge, even Survivor, any of the shows that are edited, I do not want to know what happens because it takes away my enjoyment personally. And like I can't critique it. It sucks. So I guess you were correct with the order. You're saying that Danny and Tori were going to come in second place, likely.
What?
And I do think though, like I am surprised that Casey and Troy. Are you? What are
I'm
you?
doing the Davon gif where
I
she's pretending to be shocked.
Shut up!
What?
I didn't feel like it was that gif, but I was like, wanted to give you a. um, but they were like Troy and Casey were doing actually really, really well at some point. I don't know when her body started to break down, and it could have been because we didn't see, however many hours of the final, but it kind of came out of nowhere, in my opinion. I thought like for the most of the final that I was going to be right, and like they were going to come in second, and Danny and Tori were going to come in third because for what we saw, most of it they were in ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like it kind of went the way I said on paper, but as it was playing out, I was surprised from the very beginning cuz I mean, first of all, I thought Sarah was going to be the one to possibly like be the one to like get her and Theo fourth place, but it was actually Theo getting injured and having to be medically disqualified because I was surprised by that. And yeah, Casey and Troy did an incredible job. I mean, sticking close to everybody. Luckily, they got the eating portion out early on day one so that they could do crack the code and then boom, be getting a second place, lock that in, and then get some sleep. And they were ahead for majority of the day too, it seemed like. I mean, Jordan and Kaz passed them after the bike on top of where they were walking. There is a canoe portion, which I have no idea where that freaking place was. Maybe that was in the first part of day one. But I mean, they were pretty much in second place, first place, then second place for a good majority. And then it just came down to the final walk back to the finish line that it just seemed like everything kind of just fell apart a little bit. So, yeah.
Yeah, Casey at that point couldn't even stand. She looked in bad shape for sure. And like I just like I really thought that she was going to be able to run it and get that second place up until she started to really fall apart. And it was basically when she was crying. I think it was right after the train portion when she was crying and saying like her body was shutting down. I was like, when happened? Like, how did this happen? And why is this okay? Like, I don't want people's bodies to shut down in order for them to lose. You know what I mean? I hate it. Like, I want it to be just hard that everybody can still do it without like completely gassing out and dying.
Yeah. I mean,
Like just
I
before it.
I did reach out to Troy just to congratulate him on a really great season and completing the final because I thought it was a testament to both him and Casey pushing through to get through the final at least because after getting up at the top of that mountain, I felt just getting down would have been really tough for Casey. And then having to go all the way back to the finish line would slash starting line to that spot just wasn't going to be in the cards for her. But she was able to make it through. And Troy said that it was really, really difficult. Like he said he carried her on the piggyback for a long time, like a really long time. And at one point, it just didn't seem like they were even going to be able to finish. So, I just think it shows a testament to that to go through whatever she was going through. I heard multiple diagnoses from some people. I don't know if she did a TikTok live this week yet, talking about what the doctors said about her. But I mean, whatever she was going through looked absolutely torturous. And for her to go up a mountain, down a mountain, and walk all the way back, I think is like shows how much of a fighter she is. But it is disappointing because it her body shut down.
People are saying they barely got second place though, so your shocked face is like a bit of an eye roll, is what I gather the crew is saying. One thing that I actually like, I rolled a little bit. Like, I know that they're all really tired and like there is a sense of achievement for just even passing the finish line. But I was annoyed when Tori basically told Danny how he was supposed to feel about coming in second to Jordan. You know, it's like she was like, I know that we didn't win, but like this is a really big achievement. Like it's great to get second place. And it's kind of like it felt to me as though she was justifying the fact that she never allowed Danny to get Jordan out of the game. And she was just being like, oh, just be satisfied with the fact that we crossed the finish line second at a really hard final. I was like, shut up, Tori. Like, you kind of stole $250,000 basically from Danny's pocket, because most likely if Jordan and Kaz were not there, they would have taken the first place position. So I don't think a congratulation pat on your back participation trophy is what Danny was coming there for.
Definitely not. I think looking back on it or in the moment, you could be like, wow, I finished it. That was way tough. But yeah, I mean, you could look back and be like, we could have taken so many other chances, especially if like at a certain point she did tell Danny, which Danny says 100% that she did tell him that you don't want to see Jordan in a finals, yet she was going to bat for him like every single round table. It's like my own partner said to not let this happen, yet she was like the major proponent of letting this happen. And now look where we're at. I mean, yeah, it's frustrating. It definitely is frustrating. If I'm Danny, I'm like, well, I'm never letting that happen ever again. Like, never again.
Yeah, Dolores is saying that Tori never felt that second place was okay before. Gee, I wonder what changed. Well, it's true. Why, like, yeah. I mean, I think that obviously Jordan and Kaz were super impressive in this final. I'm really happy for Kaz that she was able to get the win. But I also I feel bad for Danny for the fact that from the beginning he was just like, this is not someone that I want to run this final with. Tori even seconded that motion, or maybe even said it first. I'm not sure, but it was like, yeah, you don't want to run a final against Jordan because he wins them all. Like, he will win if he's in a final. So Tori he knows this, and the fact that they couldn't get Jordan out because of her relationship with him basically allowed them to lose the game. It's just Danny must be pissed or irritated anyways.
Yeah. I think there's always going to be like shoulda, coulda, wouldas on every season, but to know that you were like 100% correct in your strategy and line of thinking, but wasn't able to do it because of a direct correlation, has to be frustrating for sure. I mean, I think Yes and Emily would have been really difficult to beat as well. But
Yep.
looking at these finals, I think that Danny and Tori could have chugged along because I think, were the most consistent team besides Jordan and Kaz. I felt like they were the most consistently
third. I'm just kidding.
I mean, but like they never
I'm kidding.
They never really like slowed down. They were able to stay at least somewhat in pace besides the bike ride. But after the bike ride, they were able to like still go along with it. That I don't know. It's hard to think that if Jordan and Kaz weren't there and then sub anybody else in there that was on the season, that Jordan and Danny and Tori don't vie for a first place or like super close to everybody else.
Agreed. Well, we don't actually have power rankings to talk about. Do we talk about our draft? Do we just talk about more about the final? What do you want to do here on a Friday afternoon?
I mean, I don't know. Do you want to like do you want to like grade everybody's season or go
The
through like
whole
a
season?
retrospect? Just like a retrospect of like what would we grade them on their way of getting to the finals or something? Or I don't know. I don't know. It
Um,
just feels weird.
I know. Let me see. Let me pull. How about we do? Let's do the final power rank, not power rankings, like the our draft now. While I try to set up, and we can just go through quickly, retrospectively, looking at people's seasons.
Okay.
And I'm just finding
Uh,
their pictures. So
all
while you're
right.
talking,
So, well, let's talk about who's in third place coming into the finals. Well, let's talk about who everybody came into the finals with. Team Chantele came in the finals with Danny and Theo. Team Chris had Casey and Sarah, and then I had Tori, Jordan, Kaz, and Troy. Throughout this, we came in feeling a certain way, but when the dust settled, Team Chantele ends the season in third place. Um,
rigged,
you
rigged.
had Danny as your final person standing. You ended with 425 and a half points. Um, yeah, Danny scored you your highest team total with 74 total points. Danny was definitely somebody to grab early, and it just goes that you will be picking first at the USA 2 draft, which I've seen the rumored cast. I feel like I'm going to be blanked on that season. So I am actually really worried about USA 2, but you ended in third place. Team Chris loses Sarah during this final, so he ends with Casey. Casey actually is his number one scorer, scoring 109 and a half points, 109.5. A drastic change from where
What
she was
18 from the end of last season?
ride or die. Yeah, that's so much. Yeah. So yeah, wow, 109.5. He ends the season with 528 total points. So congratulations to Chris getting second place. And finally, it's not my team, it's Team Bakery. We end in first place with, of course, Jordan and Kaz being my top scorers because they get the bonus points of winning. And they also won checkpoints in the finals. So, with that being the case, Jordan is my top scorer with 217 points because he gets like a 25-point bonus for the phases that he won, as well as winning the challenge outright. So I end the season with like 800 points because of that. So
800. You doubled me? What?
yeah, because of the winnings in the finals that Jordan and Kaz were
Whatever.
just like were solid. So Tori was actually
Whatever.
my lowest person. Tori was the lowest person left in the finals that crossed the finish line. She scored the least amount of points out of everybody on this who made it past the finish line. So yeah.
Well,
Thank you, Bakery.
congratulations, Drew. Lucky
Thank you.
you.
I'd
Win,
like
win,
to
win.
I would like to dedicate this to the bakery. Thank you, my patrons, for helping me pick a solid foursome. And I really, really appreciate it. I will be holding this high. And I will be basking in this because I know USA 2 is coming up and I'm going to get absolutely demolished.
You think? I don't know. Maybe, probably not. You're probably lying.
USA 1, I picked Danny, and I almost didn't pick Danny at the beginning of that draft. I almost picked Cinco, which then I would have been absolutely blanked going into those finals. I would have been out by like week 4, I think, of that. So I don't trust my judgment on the USA, and especially this upcoming season. I'm nervous, but I'll take this win.
Well, congratulations, Drew. You and the bakery did it. You won. Wah, bum, bah.
Thank you.
Um, hopefully, I'll be able to win the next one. All right. So okay, I'm just going to do this as we go along, and we can just talk about what we think about the players as they left the season. So the first two people that left the season were Nathan and Claudia. So, what are our thoughts about both of these two characters? Do we think we're going to see either of them again? Do you think that they made enough of a mark? What are our thoughts here?
I think I want to see Nathan back. I don't know about Claudia though. I mean, Argentina did not get any way
Oops,
of
sorry.
breathing room of this whole season. I did like Claudia. I liked what Argentina brought to this season. I know that they got incredible ratings. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Challenge Argentina 2 coming up in the future, but to me, I didn't think Nathan got a real chance and he shined in the UK, and I think he could bring a lot to like another challenge, maybe the challenge flagship show. So, I'm holding out hope for Nathan.
Oh, you think maybe the challenge flagship season?
I mean, he's big, he's conniving, he's sneaky, he's very strategic, and I think he's very personable and entertaining. I think he has what it takes.
I mean, I think he could be if say Kyle doesn't come back. I could see him maybe taking that Kyle place for being like that wild but strategic and decently good at the game position. Or if Kyle does come back, they've been on seasons of Geordie Shore together, so they know
Hmm.
each other. I don't remember if they're friends or not, but they definitely I would assume would work together in the season. So yeah, I would love to see Nathan come back. Claudia, I don't know if the game was meant for her. I liked her. I think that everybody from Argentina were good people. But I don't know if she brought enough to cement her into a future US or MTV season. But I wouldn't be surprised if they brought her back on Argentina.
Yeah.
All right. Next up it was Nelson and hey, come on, change. And Hui. So, what are our thoughts here? Nelson seemingly is recuperating a little bit better. I saw him in he was with Cam and Leroy and their baby, and so it looks like he's starting to get rehabilitated, but I don't think he's going to be back on the challenge in a while. So what do you think about his game this season? Do you think that he cemented legendary status, or the opposite? And how do you feel about Hui? Do you think that she might come back?
I think Nelson was going to be climbing an uphill battle coming into this season, and it didn't help that he was partnered up with Huhui at the end of the day, because I think Argentina was coming in with a big target on their back. But I always want to see Nelson back. I want to see him make it to a finals and possibly win. I mean, it just wasn't in the cards for him. I mean, he didn't have his buddies, and even if he did have his buddies, I think he would have been lower in the ranks. But I'm praying for him. I want him to be able to recoup 100%, come back better than ever to the main flagship show. I don't know about Huhui at all, though. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nelson might take maybe a year off. I wouldn't be surprised, or maybe even longer. I'm not sure how long it will take him to get back into his physical shape. I believe he has like pins and went through many surgeries, if I'm not mistaken, and so it might take a while for him to get back into his regular challenge performance physique. But I think they might do it like Nelson is back, make it like a big ordeal. And so
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he'll have to take maybe like a year off. So maybe come back season 40. Um and then we can see how he's changed, and maybe he will get that W. I'm not sure, just because he seems just to come up short all the time. But I do picture him getting to another final again. I can see that happening. Hui Hui, she was definitely a little bit more of an excitable character than Claudia, her other Argentina counterpart that was on the season. I think out of the two of them, she would be more likely to come back. Um, but yeah, I don't know if I think that anybody from Argentina will come back to the flagship or the CBS version or the Paramount Plus version. But I really liked her though. She's sweet, good vibes. But we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, she's cool.
She's cool. We'll see how she does in the future. All right. Next up is Rodrigo and Naya. What are your thoughts about them?
I mean, it's going to sound like a broken record with the Argentina players. I just didn't think we get to see a ton of them. And then Rodri, I mean, he's a little bit more on the older side, so I don't expect to see him on the flagship show or anything. So, sad about that, because they did bring a lot of entertainment, at least from what we saw, the little that we saw. Naya, I was coming in expecting a lot more from her on the season, and we just did not get much. I mean, I hate to be like, the editing was so like blasé on some of these early contestants, because some of these players I don't even remember being on the show, besides their elimination, which is, I think, sucks, because these are players that have been on the show quite a while and have shown a good amount of entertainment and personalities, and we didn't get to see much of them. So I was glad to see Naya on the season competing. But I think what was something that Theo said in the before he got medically disqualified was when he said that there's everybody here is a champion but me, and I feel like maybe it discredits him from being legendary status, and this win or the win here would have like got him to that legendary status. And I feel like maybe Naya was suffering from that from the very beginning, just being like, I just made it to my first official finals in All Stars 3, and now I'm here as a legend, but I'm amongst all these players that actually either won a spinoff or won the main show, and
Mm-hmm.
I have to like try to stake my claim. And again, I think it was just one of those things where they were going to be doing an uphill battle, and it just stinks.
Yeah, I agree with you with your take on Rodrigo. Nice guy. I like seeing the scenes of him dancing. I like seeing other cultures being part of the show. But like I said before, I kind of wish that you the countries meant more than just like separating people into teams. Like I wish like the team element was a bigger factor in the season, and so I think people would be able to game things a little bit differently instead of just using Argentina as a scapegoat to like get rid of people or get rid of them because they didn't want to get touch each other. Like I think that the gameplay might have been a little bit different, a little bit more cutthroat if the teams it meant something more for them to stick together. um it was unfortunate that Naya got chosen by Rodrigo and she kind of didn't have any say into who her partner was going to be, for the fact that the MVPs were the ones that were selecting their partners in order of how they finished the qualifier. Um, and as much as like he's a nice guy and he's decent at these competitions, I feel like Naya would have benefited from somebody that was not from our team Argentina, from pretty much any other country. I think that she would have done better in the season. I do think Naya is going to be back again. I think that we had a lot higher hopes for how she was going to do this season, but I think the fact that she was with someone from Argentina kind of stunted the opportunity for her to really excel and shine. Um, because even like for Rodrigo specific, like in particular, yes, he was on his own season, but I doubt he's watched many seasons of MTV or Challenge USA. Like I don't know if he's done his homework, and so I think that she's also at a disadvantage for him just not having any real idea what kind of activities they're going to be forced to do, and the politicking and all the strategizing. Like I just think that he was kind of in over his head, and she didn't really have a partner that she could really work that well in this particular season with. So it's unfortunate for Naya how it shook out, but I do think we're going to see her again, because it seems like we saw her in USA, or sorry, in All Stars. Now we're seeing her again here, and I think that we might see her again in the near future. Do you think she's going to come back to the main show? Do you say yes?
I don't know. I don't know about the main show.
It wasn't all sand.
Yeah, the Danny's come in here and says,
Oh,
I'm
sorry, I missed
sure
it. Okay.
y'all have covered this, but we didn't lose the final because Jordan was there. If he wasn't, it would have been easier. We lost our chance because of something different, and then talked about how they were behind 25 to 30 minutes behind the bike ride slash walk, which Tori is, yeah. Hopefully she bought a bike with all that cash she won and a possible kickback. So hopefully she buys a bike and she won't that won't be a problem in her game moving forward.
Well, hi, Danny. So, okay, I'm going to read what he said. I know you just paraphrased it, Drew. So I'm sure y'all covered this, but we didn't lose the final because Jordan was there. If he wasn't, it wouldn't have been easier. It would have been easier, but we lost our chance because of something different. Are we not allowed to say? Is that under lock and key?
Well, then he says that they were
Okay.
behind 25 to 30 minutes
Right.
behind the bike slash walk. So maybe the bike really killed him.
Yeah, maybe they fell, maybe. Because, because Tori can't ride a bike. How annoying is that?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he's pissed off about. Because, I mean, she was riding fine, but if she's kind of nervous and scared on a bike, they probably weren't going that fast. So maybe Danny thought that they could pick up some speed here at the bike portion, but then Tori is afraid of biking. Maybe that didn't help them catch up.
Yeah. I think that's the case. And then saying that if Jordan wasn't there overall, it would have been easier, but yeah. Oh, they had to walk the bike.
Okay, so that's brutal.
So basically, Danny and Tori
because of Tori. Mm-hmm.
Basically they just walked while everybody else was able to really space it out with the bike ride.
That's brutal. I'm so sorry, Danny.
That's horrific.
That's so brutal. That's so brutal. So it was the bike portion and Tori not being able to ride a bike that stopped them from being competitive in that section of the final. Wow.
I mean, who would have thought that, though? I mean, and it's quite frankly interesting that Tori has been in how many finals and never encountered a bike ever. I mean, but bikes are now the normal for all the spinoffs. So All Stars, they had to even put together their own bikes before having to do it. And so coming up on the spinoffs, I mean, it's just, yeah. Wow. That's tough. That's tough. I mean, they still battled back. They were able to surpass Casey and Troy, get second place. But it sounds like by that time it was done and over with. They couldn't make up that much time.
Sophie wants to know if we think that Danny would have made a final with a different partner. I think so. Him and Sarah, even though they weren't always getting their way, I think that they were pretty solid. They never did poorly in any of the dailies, and I think that they had their alliance strong, and they would have still had Emily, and I think that they still would have been able to get there personally.
Yeah, I think of if Danny and John A were partnered up together, I feel like they still could have made the finals. And I think that would have helped John A's game because they would have been so insulated. Granted, Tori, I bet, was more insulated than John A was, but I still think that John A's social game is really, really strong. And as long as they didn't win into power, then she wouldn't have double-crossed Kellyanne. There wouldn't have been that much animosity towards her at a certain point. Not being paired up with Grant, you don't have that infighting between the Australians and who's jealous of whom at the end of the day kind of thing. And maybe it would have been a much smoother ride for both of them and possibly been on the same page at the end of the day. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how John A would have handled these finals, but I mean, she's been able to handle all the finals in All Stars so far. And this one was, I think, harder, but I mean, she was able to hold on to it. So, yeah.
All right, well, let's just get back to our. So, I'm not on different screens, so I'm not able to see the comments. So, if a comment pops up that you want me to pull up, just let me know.
Danny
Because
just
yeah.
mentioned that Tori and Benha would have been in trouble. I picked Jody instead. Oh man.
Oh my god,
Honestly,
imagine.
Danny and Jody would have been just
Yeah, that'd be
absolute beast.
good.
That would have been a beast of a team.
Did it ever cross your mind, Danny, to pick Jody instead? I know that Kiki had suggested that you pick either Johnny or Tori, but if Jody was an option, would you? How would that have gone? I think that'd been amazing. Was it possible?
Yeah. That would have been wow.
That'd be amazing.
Oh
Amazing.
man.
Or even if
Jody
you
would
pick
have made it
Casey. No,
finally.
Jody said, Sophie, you're saying Casey. Like that could have been interesting too.
Yeah, he was very close. Tough decision.
Oh man. I mean, you were the star of the season, so I mean that's one thing that came through. But you might have had an easier ride to the end with Jody, and you might have it might have been a more enjoyable experience, maybe. Okay, so next that was eliminated with to our surprise and dismay was Wes and Zara. Obviously, Wes is I think he's a star. He's I've been watching him on my screen for 20 almost 20 years. I enjoy what he brings to the season even if he's being braggadocious or obnoxious. Like I'm still team Wes. I find him fun. I find him he knows the game. I want to hear what his thoughts are about situations. I expect to see him back. I believe he's on the cast for the next season. So yeah, Wes is amazing, of course. And Zara, I can see Zara being someone that can cross over to the main show. I think that other than the fact that dyslexia kind of and not being great with math and numbers came into play here, I do think that everything else that she brought to the table was top tier and was something that would work really well on the flagship show. So I expect to see both of them back.
Zara's at the
Hi,
top of my
Danny.
list. Bye. Zara's at the top of my list, up there with Kiki and Kaz. I want to see her on up next on the challenge, be up on the challenge flagship show. I question how much we're going to see of Wes come in the near future. I mean, I know he's going to probably be on the USA tour. That's what is rumored. But after September, when or closer to when his baby is going to be born with his wife, I mean, I just feel like we're may see a pretty spotty or whenever we
Return.
could see him is in a huge question mark because he has done quite a bit on the challenge already. He has growing businesses and now he has a family. Well, he's always had a family, but now that he has a new baby on the way, I just feel like maybe he wanted to get that USA 2 last hurrah in for a while, and then we could be seeing Wes very sparingly in the future. So love Wes. I love both of these players. I would love to see more of them, but I could understand not seeing Wes for a little while, at least.
Yeah, I did forget that he was expecting child, and so depending on how that goes, I can see him being occupied for a little while. But we do know he's coming on the next season. I don't know if he'll be on 39, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's back for 40. He might need to make some baby college money, and so he might be coming back for a bit of a paycheck. So I do hope to see him again sooner
Maybe
than
40.
maybe 40. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Especially if it's an all champ season, which I'm praying for, and maybe they double up the prize money. Maybe that'll entice him enough to want to come in and test out his skills amongst other champions. And like you said, grab some money for the college fund. So
Money, money, money. Can't wait to see them both back, to be honest. We have Grant and Johnny. Thoughts on them?
sad that they were eliminated due to a medical DQ. They were a really strong team, winning pretty much at the very beginning. It kind of got John A little bit into some hot water, especially with her not readily able to make decisions or game decisions. So I think that she had quite a few fumbles and got into some hot water early, which I did not like to see. But I do think that they could have really gone far if they would have been able to stay in this season longer. So I'm expecting to see John A at least on another All-Star season, maybe. Well, I think she's rumored to be on another show coming up very, very soon this summer. So, I mean, I'm expecting to see her not only on the USA 2, but on future seasons, as well as possibly Grant being getting a call. I think he made a pretty decent um imprint on this season and on the fans, and I think that he has warranted a call back.
I agree with you 100%, Grant. I think I could see him coming back if they, invite some Australian players onto the flagship show or even onto USA 3. Would that work though? I don't know. But I definitely think that he has cemented himself as somebody that is willing to play the game, play hard, make alliances, like getting good with people, backstab others. I do think that he is kind of a new school, not necessarily West, but like a new school character, like a West or like a Bananas. Like I could see him being someone that becomes a bit of a staple for the type of gameplay that he brings to the table. So I do anticipate seeing Grant in the future. And John A, I think, lost the draft for me because I picked her number one. And then I thought that her gameplay was abysmal this
Hmm.
season. And I mean, I know that she went out because of Grant's injury, but I think that even if they had stayed in, I didn't think she was going to be long for this world because she was making enemies as opposed to, playing a strong strategic game. So I do see her coming back. I think what she wanted to was get in good with the flag show people so that if she were invited, she has like an automatic alliance in there. And so maybe that's what's on the horizon for her. I can definitely see her coming back to All Stars. She has a family, and so All Stars format is usually pretty good for people with families because it's not required for them to be there for a long period of time. But other than that, I wish that Johnny played better this season to get me more points because, yeah, I would have chosen a lot differently if I knew she was going to play the way she played this season. Ah, why did she have to play the way she played, huh?
It was
Why?
messy. I'll
It was,
I'll, I'll give it that.
and not
It
even
was
in a good
messy.
way. Like we usually like messy, but I was like, oh, why are you ruining your relationships here? This sucks. This sucks. Okay, so next out, sorry, I got distracted talking and I didn't set this up. Um, I really felt that I actually didn't despise either of these people or dislike either of these people this
Mm.
season. I feel like they really shifted the way that I felt about them. And I like them both a lot more. Hold on. I wonder if someone's at my door. Maybe not. How I felt about them this season. Sorry, I just completely messed up what I was saying.
You don't hate either one of these two or
Yes.
despise them over the season.
Well, I want to take away the despise because like I don't care that much about anybody, but I definitely like them both more after the season, and obviously I'm wishing one of them even super well, and I want to see them back. So that means I'm talking about Ben and Amber. Now they weren't partners together, but they did leave the same episode. So Ben obviously was medically evacuated because of the fact that he got whatever illness that was and he went away in an ambulance and he never came back to the game. And then Amber, I think she was sick, but then she was pregnant at the same time. So I'm not sure what made her decide to leave and give Casey her spot. But they both left out due to not feeling well. Amber, I really like Amber a lot more than I have in previous seasons. I thought that she was really kind, really sweet. Like she put aside all of her feelings for Casey and how terribly Casey has treated her in the past and still gave her a shot to win the money. And so I really think that Amber has shown that she's everybody's like we're rooting for Amber now, and I'm hoping that the people on the show feel the same way about her because um she's had a tough ride, and she's a kind person, and she always is trying to do well. And so hopefully moving forward, people are going to respect her, want to work with her, want to play with her, and so she can have a more enjoyable experience on these game shows. Her partnership with Troy, she really appreciated that, and she stayed in the game for Troy. And so I just think that she's a great person, that she's kind of gotten a really bad experience on these shows. And so I'm hoping that this will make things move differently for her.
Yeah. So I'll start with Ben. I feel like we've seen enough from Ben from both Survivor and the challenge spin-offs that he's done, and I'm good with him sitting home for forever. I mean, I'm cool with not seeing Ben. I
But
mean, he's not
I didn't
terrible.
mind him this season, right? Like when whatever he brought out of Casey, a lot of personality out of Casey, I'm into it.
Yeah, and hopefully that'll stick with Casey, and we don't have to be stuck with Ben on any more seasons. I'm cool with not seeing him. I don't hate him. It's just like whatever at this point. Like I understand what we'll get from him, and that is just erratic behavior, which can be fun to watch. But other times, I'm just like I don't think he's a real strong contender if he were to have made it any further. So I'm cool with Ben just plopping on his couch with his cowboy hat and eating some popcorn while watching the challenge rather than being competing on it. Amber, I love. I wish she wasn't pregnant while filming this show, because I felt like her and Troy could have made a huge run in this game. I mean, if they were to have somehow made it into the finals, I don't see how like Amber and Troy wouldn't have been like just an absolute contender in a game where you are just running for your life the whole time. And Amber, just thinking of Amber in Double Agents, where she is just outpacing everybody, and it's just hard. It's just hard not to think like if somehow Amber was on this in the finals, that her and Troy just aren't like a super team vying for the top spot. So yeah, I love Amber. I will always want to see her back. I wish her and Chauncey the best in the future. And she says that possibly season 40, she would want to come back, which I don't know. It just kind of solidifies me that maybe there is a champ season, and maybe the money is going to be quite more than $1 million, to the point where maybe we could see a whole bunch of champs coming out of the shadows being like, yeah, I'll give this shit a shot, you know. And so I think if Amber's willing to pack up and go to another challenge and endure the stresses and hardships of a challenge season, that it's going to be worth it in the end. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening in
I
the
would have
future.
loved to see Troy and Amber run that final, because like little Troy is carrying Kelly Casey. Like that's Casey seems like she's pretty sturdy, you know. That's pretty impressive. And and Amber she wouldn't have needed that. She would have been ahead of him, being like, "Come on, keep up," you know. So it would have
Mhm.
been really awesome to see them run together. Someone was also suggesting Amber and Casey for rivals. What do you think about that as a duo?
I think you lose rival status if you give your spot
That's
to
fair.
them to move on. You know, I know that in the past that the rivals have been like arbitrary in certain cases, where it's like, oh, they sent me a bad tweet one time, and it's like, well, then you're rivals, you're bitter rivals. But I think that at this point that ship has sailed.
But she also didn't include them in that email or that Instagram post. So maybe like yes, she did that for Troy, but maybe like she didn't do that for Casey necessarily.
Maybe.
So Ben still annoys Danielle. um yeah, Ruth is not really excited about Ben either, but he didn't bother me that much this season. It's wild. It's wild. It's wild. I don't know if I'd be choosing him on my team necessarily, but
Yeah,
I
I would.
wouldn't care. I wouldn't be upset if he came back.
I agree that Amber and Devin are more rivals than Amber and Casey at this point. Gosh, man. That Bananas podcast still annoys the crap out of me, with Devin and Bananas, and how Devin just goes in on Amber for no reason whatsoever. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Little Mickey's calling me out. I mean, I definitely the times when she has been kind of bullied by some of the people in the game, I found at times that her response was a little bit annoying, and so I kind of understood where some people's irritations were with Amber in Spies, Lies, and Allies. I started to come around a little bit last season just because, but then there was still some points in time where I was kind of like, yeah, she kind of seems to be kind of poking the bear a little bit, and then people are getting annoyed with her. So, but it's like this season though, like I wasn't annoyed with her at all, and maybe it was because nobody was annoyed with her either. Like maybe that's the reason why
Mm.
I wasn't siding with anybody that might have been irritated with her in the game. So I think that Amber is, I'm fine with her right now. She didn't do anything that annoyed me this season, and I'm hoping for the best for her. All right, next up is dun, 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 Benha and Jody. Ah, how much do I wish that Jody got Danny as a partner? That would have been real fun.
Yeah.
Real fun. As we said before, with all the people from Argentina, it's kind of like they weren't really offered a fair shake. Um, and unfortunately, Jody didn't have any. She couldn't have anybody else pick her. Unfortunately, she couldn't be like, no, thanks. Can I get somebody else, please? So they worked together pretty well, though. In the end, I forget who was telling us this, but we were told that they really didn't like each other. I thought they played it off decently, but apparently, like someone even said hated each other. Did you hear that? I thought it was with you.
I felt like there was something off between these two, but I didn't think it was like legit like hate or anything like that.
Someone had said it, anyways. Poor Jody, the cards didn't stack in her favor. Yeah, not at all. Not at all. Especially like we did hear from Danny saying that in the elimination challenge where they lost and went home, she wasn't wearing her glasses, so she wasn't actually able to see the puzzle pieces. I mean, you'd think that producers would be like, hey, like get glasses or something. Like, do you think that they should be able to tip them off with like what they might need for an elimination, or do you think that it's just too bad, so sad?
They used to. They used to like if something in the elimination required something, they would tell them. So I mean, I don't know. I guess they're just expecting everybody to just like be ready if you need your glasses or not, instead of telling people that you need them. But yeah.
We did skip them. How did I skip them? Hilarious. Let me put them back in. Okay, do you talk a second about those two, and I will put Bananas and Justine back in the mix.
I like both of these players. I actually think out of all the Argentina players that are from this past season, this World Championship, Benha has the best opportunity to come back and be asked back. I felt like he was at least admirable. He was super rooting for his country. He was steadfast in what he believed and how he wanted to play, and he was very rootable. I liked Benha a lot, and I feel like we could see him on another challenge season. I felt like him having that moment of trying to like talk to Bananas and learning about the game from who a lot would say is the best who have ever played it, since he has won so many times. And I thought that that was a sign that maybe Benha could be seen in a different light, and it also helps that him and Jody got super far in the game. I love Jody. I will always like Jody. I think Jody crushed it this season and how she wanted to play it. A lot of cards were stacked against her, but she was going to play it hard and as well as she could. And I definitely think we're going to see her in the future. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm happy that she's come, like her kids are at an age where she's able to come back and participate and compete in these shows. This showing was a little bit better than her last showing, and I think that as she gets back into this game, I think she's going to start doing better and better. I'm super happy to see her again. I was always well, not that I was always a Jodie fan, but like I appreciated her as a competitor, and now I'm definitely a Jodie fan in her like later stages in life. Like she's around my age, and she's coming back to keep beat on this show, and so I've watched her grow up. I'm appreciative of her as a competitor. I want to see her again. I want to see her get the win. I want to see her get a good partner so that she can get the win. Fortunately, Benha wasn't the partner for her this season. They did decently well, so that's impressive, of course. But I don't know if I see him coming back again. Yeah, I'm not sure. But I liked Benha personally. I wish that he was a better partner for Jodie, unfortunately. I wish. Oh, right. So we by accident skipped over. I started putting his name in, and then I didn't fix it. So we got Bananas and Justine. Thoughts? That was like the deep inhale.
Didn't do as well as a lot of people projected. Underwhelmed in a lot of ways. I think Justine has a really good shot of being asked to be on the flagship show. She seemed to have gotten along with a lot of the USA players, as well as after hearing her on the Challenge Official podcast, she seems to be very melded into what everybody has deemed the Vacation Alliance. So if she were to get a recommendation to come onto the show, it would be from them. And yeah, so I think we could be seeing more of Justine in the future. Of course, we're going to probably see a lot more Bananas in the future as well, whether it's the main show or the All Stars. But it was kind of like in the Challenge 38. It just Bananas just didn't seem to be locked in, focused at all. I didn't know if he was like super feeling confident about this season because of everybody who was on the season and he felt like he could just relax. But ultimately, I just felt like, I don't know. I just felt like it felt flat to me. I
Do
mean,
you
at
know
least
how
he made
much
the finals
time
in 38.
how much time they had between season 38 and this going leaving for this one?
It was not very much.
So yeah, I mean that would like they just literally were like gone for like 6 months to film that other show, and then they're like immediately jumping into this one. He started off the season pretty sick. We could barely talk. They're
Yeah.
joking that he was patient zero, with whatever illness ended up going through the contestants. He's going to be back again. I think he will be able to be on the show forever, however long he wants to be on the show. I think that production loves him. I think they'll always love him, and he has enough fans that still want to see him coming back over and over and over again. So I can see him maybe taking a break for 39, but I think you're right. I think season 40, if they take a page out of Survivor's book and doing an all winners season, like I think that'd be effing epic to do an all winners season 40 of the challenge. So they've been working closely now with CBS, having merged with Viacom CBS. And so I wouldn't be surprised if now some of their creative teams are like, hey, let's do kind of like CBS Survivor did. Let's do a all winners season. So I think they have enough winners to be able to get that done. And I think it would be epic. And it's something that I think Bananas, if he took a season off, he'll train and like really get into shape of an all winners season. So that I can really see that on the horizon. And I think that it would be a really big misstep if they don't decide to do that, because I think it would be awesome.
Yeah.
Justine, yeah, cemented her spot, in my opinion, in the flagship show, or even coming back for CBS 2, or what's it called? Is that what it's called? USA 2.
USA 2, yeah.
I like seeing her. I wish we got to see her more this season. I wish they got to see the happy face, but then I guess Jordan and Kaz, it was their fate to win that elimination because they were going to go off to win the season. So do you think that Bananas and Justine would have won the season if they were able to beat Jordan and Kaz? What do you think?
No, I don't. I just, yeah, I don't want to sound harsh, but I just don't see it. I mean, if they were to have beaten Jordan and Kaz, I definitely think that they would have a great shot of making it to the finals. I I guess it just depends on who's with them. But if they straight up just took Jordan and Kaz's spot, I feel like I don't know if they are winning ultimately. I don't know.
I wonder. I guess we'll never know. We can't see the sliding doors of that one, unfortunately. Boo. Okay, so next up, if I put it in, I think I did. Oh shit, I haven't finished yet. Talk a little bit more about Justine and um, Bananas.
Do I gotta?
A
I'm just
little
kidding.
bit, just like honestly, like 2 seconds.
Of course, Bananas is going to be on USA
Oh,
2.
this is why. This is why.
So I'm expecting him to maybe be having a better showing on that season, especially if it's him with a ton of just complete rookies that have maybe watched a challenge season, maybe knows what they're saying yes to or not. I mean, I'm just expecting him to be a little bit better. Will he get more screen time? Maybe, probably. I don't know exactly, but I'm actually expecting more from Bananas now than maybe I was coming into World Championships. So we'll just see.
Oh, right. Oh, wait. It still should move. 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 Okay. There we go. Tristan and Kellyanne. I was really happy with Kellyanne's, at least her arc, this season. She started off a little bit wild. I mean, I think that it didn't help that a friend of hers immediately turned on her at the beginning of the season. So like she was playing from the bottom from the very beginning, but she's scrappy and I love that she wasn't just going to lay down and let people walk all over her, including her friends. And I love the fact that she was able to get pretty damn far in the season, even though she was going against a big alliance, which was Team USA and Team Australia. So I'm really proud of Kellyanne and how she's been doing. She did this season. I want to see her back again. I'm hoping that this is a lit a fire under her to start playing from the beginning and not waiting for the numbers to grow bigger without her. And then she's always going to have to compete as an underdog. But I'm back to wanting to choose Kellyanne on my team. She's fun. She's wants to win. She wants to play, and she's everything that I want in somebody that I would want to have on my draft team. Even though this time I think she fell pretty low, because we weren't sure of her being able to handle the season and the game, because she hasn't been doing that well in the previous seasons that she just recently had been on. But I think that she got shaken up and she's going to play better from now on. So I'm happy to see Kellyanne again. I think she will be back again. Not sure she'll be on the flagship show, but I wouldn't be surprised to see her on All Stars again. Tristan, I also think he's kind of boring, but I do think that he could make it into MTV because they do like bringing a little bit of the UK energy to the show. And so if we have Kyle there and you have Nathan there, I can see them maybe bringing in Tristan in there just to have another person that's from the UK just to fill out some spots. Some rookie spots. So I think that Tristan could make the cut. He's not obviously as electric as a Kyle or a Nathan, but I think that competitively they might bring him in. You're like, no,
This
never gonna bring him in. He sucks.
This was Team Underdog mixed with Tristan being a Charlie Brown figure of just like bad luck. I mean, it was rough for Tristan to start off the season, and then Kellyanne not necessarily being picked at the end because I think she was one of the last two people. It was like her and Nelson being the last two, kind of just being put onto the pairs instead of being chosen by the pairs. But honestly, I think Tristan and Kellyanne were the shining light of this season. I mean, talk about Team Underdog overperforming what everybody was giving them coming into the season. I remember Kellyanne being questioned by some of the fan base of like, how is she a legend? What has she done? Why is she in this cast? Is she just fodder? And she showed that I want to make moves. I want to play. And I really like both of them. I expect to see Kellyanne more so than Tristan on a couple of more seasons of the challenge.
Mhm.
And I will be rooting for Kellyanne like I pretty much normally do moving forward, because yeah, I mean, I had her on my fantasy team, and I enjoyed every second she was on the challenge. So yeah.
Whoop whoop. So yeah, we hopefully we'll see Kellyanne again, most likely, and I wouldn't mind seeing Tristan again. He's young, so I can see him like taking the time out to be able to come do the main show. Can see it. Then we got the other stars, in my opinion, or breakout stars of the season, which is Darrell and Kiki. Obviously, Darrell, he's been on many seasons of the show. He's a 4-time champion. He hasn't been a champion in a while, since it's kind of been, well, yeah, in a while. Probably like a decade, but he's gotten close a couple times, and I really thought that this time him and Kiki might have been able to take away the W. Yeah, it's really unfortunate that they weren't able to get there. But I love this partnership. I think that Kiki really brought something out of Jarrell that we hadn't really seen in a while. Like their partnership it allowed him to play a little bit and like get some power and make some moves. And I was seeing the old Jarrell, kind of doing things in the game. So I was super happy to see this side of Jarrell again. And then Kiki, obviously, she is definitely one of the shining lights of the season. She was amazing on her Australian season that she won, and she was great here as well. So I can see if she wants a spot back on the main show, I can see her coming back as well, because she brought stuff that we haven't seen in some competitors in a while, and I would want to see it again.
This is the duo of the season, in my opinion. I just love them both. This was one duo that they never really fought with each other. They could talk to each other about anything. I mean, Kiki did not like Emily, but never went to talk around the house about it. She always came to Darrell, and then he would listen. He would intently listen, take everything into account, and then give his own advice from a standpoint of an outsider, of a challenger, and what we can use that information later on in the game. But for now, let's just chill on it. And I thought I just loved them. They never yelled at each other. They never got angry with each other. They were always there for each other. The chemistry was incredible. I wish they would have been able to win more. And yeah, I mean, to me, I want to see both of these players back. I loved seeing intent in Darrell's game and wanting to make moves and trusting in other people's information. And I still think of the bananas vote of how like all of that went down, and Darrell and Kiki were kind of in the middle of it. And I just really enjoyed these two players, in my opinion.
100%. And I agree,
So
Kiki did not disappoint. Neither of them disappointed. I was really, really, really fond of both of these two this season. And so I'd happily see them both on my screen again whenever they decided to show up. Hopefully it's next season. 39. Let's do it. And become a champion, Kiki, so you can play in 40 as well.
well, she's technically a champion.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Australia.
Yeah. So never mind. You're invited. So yes, and Emily. How do I feel about these two? I mean, Emily, I really do appreciate her. She is a fantastic swimmer. Like, it's very impressive what she's been able to do in the water. It bugged me that she was not working with our girl Kiki. I think that would have been. I mean, obviously, we need to have drama and opposition in a show. Everybody can't be all friends and kumbaya, but I really wish that Emily wanted to work with Kiki as opposed to be working against her. I just wish that I thought that they could do well together. They just had worked together. They're such both powerhouses, and like instead of being against each other, take out their real threats, the real enemy. But she didn't decide to do so. So she bugged me this season. I didn't mind her on her season because she was an underdog there and she was trying really hard just to stay in the game. And so I was supporting her in her original season. This season, I wasn't supporting her as much, unfortunately. I would see Emily again. I do think she brings something to the game. I like the fact that she has winner mentality. So she's not playing just to be there. She's playing to win. And so I respect that 100%. And yes, I don't remember him very much on the season. I don't remember many confessionals. He was a little bit silent, in my opinion, in this duo-ship. Like, am I just misremembering?
No, not necessarily. I think Emily got more of the shine than Yes did via the edit.
Yeah. I don't mind seeing Yes again. He's comes as a little bit of a rival for Wes. We didn't really see that play out this season, but I wouldn't be surprised if it still played out in a future season. I'm fine with seeing him again. Anybody that's a strong competitor and a winner, having them come back just to be a good partner for somebody else, like I think is beneficial for the show. So I'm happy to see him back, but he didn't really bring that much to this particular season.
I think the duo ship of these two were lethal. I don't know if separately they held the same weight if this was like a solo season. I do think that they did really well in the season, and Emily could be looked as like a future challenger, a future villain that we could root against, maybe. She definitely gave off those vibes. But I think she is a strong competitor. It just wasn't she wasn't hitting my fan funny bone kind of thing. Like I just wasn't like I
I feel
would
it.
much rather root for Darrell and Kiki, and it just seemed
For
like
sure.
you're either rooting for Darrell and Kiki or rooting for Yes and Emily, and there wasn't really some leeway for both since they were on opposite ends of everything. I always love Yes. Yes is great. I will always root for him. He's such a nice guy. And I liked his partnership. I think maybe he kind of let Emily take the reins too much in what they wanted to do, because I just remember listening to a lot of interviews being like, he wanted Emily to play her game and be free to make all the decisions that she felt was necessary and she was comfortable with. And I think at that point, maybe he gave too much of the 50-50 to maybe being like 60-40 or 70-30. And it kind of maybe slipped by them that maybe they were too focused on trying to get their own Australian numbers out instead of maybe taking the bigger shots that they needed to and not taking the opportunities that they should have at the end of the day. But overall, I think they did a solid job and they almost made it to the finals.
They
Almost.
almost did it. Almost did it. And the way that she was really upset about not being able to get to the final. I felt for her as I know she's a big competitor, and she just wants to get to the Olympics, and she just came up a little bit short. So I know you didn't care for her that much. You'd rather root for Kiki, but I don't. I didn't mind Emily. Yes, I agree. I rooted for Kiki more than I rooted for Emily. If I have to choose one over the other, I would choose Kiki. But if I got to have both, I wouldn't be upset at all.
Yeah.
So then we have those who ran the final, Theo and Sarah. Theo, why did you have to look back and break your ankle or sprain it or whatever? It looked pretty bad. He did show a picture on Instagram of his ankle.
Yeah.
And he does mention that there was a lot more running that happened before he actually went down. So it's possible that he was a little bit fatigued, and so maybe like his stance, like how he was running, his form had maybe started to lack a little bit, and so that's why he was able to just kind of twist his ankle that way. I don't know, but I was really, really sad for Theo. He was the only person in the final that hasn't won yet. He's been to a final. He's been to, he made it to second place of the hardest final that we've seen. But he wasn't able to overcome this one. He had to be medically DQ'd. And so I do hope I see him again on our screen, because we've been waiting a while to see Theo come back. So he has come back now. Do you think that producers are going to bring him back now that he's hurt his ankle, or do you think he might just be too much of a liability, or what do
I
you
think he
think?
would be back. I think this
Okay,
was
good.
like the test of seeing whether he was willing to come back and see how he would play and stuff, and he made it far. So I mean, I think this was a good showing for him. Also, he's talked about how the edit kind of did him wrong because he did do a lot more on the season that they just didn't use that footage, probably
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't necessarily
Part of
uh
the
uh
story.
game based. Yeah, the story, the strategy, they really wanted to lean in on what is the difference between Tori and Danny and why can't they get on the same page kind of thing. Whereas maybe Theo was just trying to sow seeds of doubt between everybody and get people yelling at each other rather than it being for game purposes. So I do expect to see possibly Theo get the invite to the flagship show or any other spin-offs somewhat recently. Sarah, I have the same feelings for Sarah as I do for Ben. Thank you for being here, but I'm okay. I'm fine.
I mean, I think that Sarah, for me, redeemed herself from USA One.
Yeah.
I wasn't cringing when she was on the show, and I was definitely supportive of her and Danny really wanting to work together to shake things up, and so I was fine with Sarah this season. So I don't necessarily need to have her back, but I definitely left the season liking her more. How about that?
Yeah, I can agree with that. And I also respect how much she was there for Theo, cuz she could have easily been like
Damn
like
it, that
kicking
sucks.
rocks
Yeah.
and like being upset with him in the confessionals, but she was really there for him, and I really appreciated that out of the partnership, because yeah, you're losing your opportunity. You're kind of just starting out the finals. This is only day 1, and you can be frustrated about it, but I mean, yeah, I think that that I liked their. I just wish we would have saw more of them for this being Theo's comeback, and Sarah having so much push in the first couple of episodes. I mean, at a certain point, once I think Bananas left, it just like they both dissipated into the background, and I wanted to see more. For everybody who was in the finals, I felt like we saw the least amount of them, and I guess we all know why, because they get kind of out of there at the end. So I mean, that's rough.
So Egla's side, Theo wouldn't have won. Sarah wouldn't have been able to keep up with the on the endurance side. Sarah was almost begging him to tap out. I did hear from someone. I don't think it was. I don't know if it was truth, but that Sarah was happy that she didn't have to complete it. I don't know if they just didn't like Sarah and they're just saying that because of what happened, or if it was factual. But did you hear anything about this?
No, but I do remember like her before they won the daily or something, like she was like upset with like being there, and just remember her crying, saying like she just wanted to leave anyways. So I mean, there was a lot of walking happening. They did before even he twisted the ankle. So I don't know if they would have been able to keep up, even just thinking back to the USA season 1, but I don't think they would have given up even if they were so far behind at the end of the day.
So next up, we have our third place team, and that of Casey and Troy. So I have to say that I can't believe that I gave Casey as a sabotage, and I end up sabotaging myself. So, like, Casey basically is my biggest sabotage in these drafts, because whether I have her or I don't, she costs me the game. I mean, she didn't specifically cost me the game, but she didn't help me win. So pretty frustrating here that she kind of popped more than she's ever popped on any screen of any show that she's ever been on. But I'm not upset about it at all. Not at all. I was happy to see her. Maybe it's because she was without Nani. But we got to see a little bit more of her personality, and she was more enjoyable. And it seemed like her partners liked being her partner. And her and Troy were a pretty dominant duo. They won those 3 eliminations. She won elimination with Ben. Like, she showed that she's a really, really great competitor. And then she actually has a personality that we hadn't really been seeing for the last few years. So it was nice to see Casey a little bit more in her element, a little bit more of her, just who she is. I understand a little bit more as to why she gets cast all the time, because she's okay. She's okay. Um, Troy's obviously another star of the season. Definitely the other winner from Australia, came in here to play. No fear. He was really, really competitive in that final. As we said, if he was running with Amber, I could see them taking the win, because he did not seem tired. As much as everybody was like tired, he did not seem as tired as everybody else. And I don't know if it's just because of editing, but he looked like he was okay. And so I would love to see Troy again. I thought he was pretty fun. I love the fact that he's also engaged with the fans. We see him in a lot of different chats. I know you've spoken to Troy. He's spoken with Chris from the Nullified Take, and so I like the fact that he's also involved with, like, he's a fan like us, and I love when competitors also care and listen to, podcasts and people and fan groups and stuff like that. So I like that about Troy a lot. I would love to see him again. I could definitely see him on the flagship show. He's definitely getting a call, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hope, because I would love to see Troy on the main season. He wants to come, he wants to compete, and I think that it is this is impressive for I mean, Troy to get battered and bruised, but still win on the Challenge Australia, and then come into this season, go through another 3 eliminations, a hall brawl nonetheless, and then make it to another finals and even be winning for a good portion of the second day. I mean, I thought Casey showed a lot more on this season, going to 4 eliminations, basically doubling what her total elimination count in just like one season, and going in, taking care of business, and showing why she deserves to be it's considered a legend of the game. So I really liked both of these 2 players, and on especially on the season, maybe wish it could have went a bit differently towards the end and not have Casey's body shut down. But I just think that both of these players really showed a lot of true heart and true grit during this season. And yeah, my thing with Casey is like, yeah, she had Jordan and Tori by her side, but even at then, she didn't just fall back into the numbers and kind of just fall into the shadows. She had to go in. She always was being called upon to get sent down to elimination, and she never complained about it once. And she
Mm-hmm.
showed that I can do this. You send me into 4 eliminations, I
And
can
coming
come
out.
back out,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of thing. So yeah, I really enjoyed seeing that side of her.
For sure. I agree with you. So Cute is saying here that Casey said her veins collapsed and she never got the IV. They tried 6 times and TJ came in with instructions for the next event, so she never got it. Interesting.
Oof. If
Okay.
that's true, that's it makes a lot of sense on
Her
what
being
happened the second day, and why she was already feeling like I can't do this, going into the second day. That if that's true, that sucks like so much. Like, I mean, if 2 other teams were able to get the IV, I
mm-hmm.
mean, that's downright like super unfair if she wasn't
Super.
able to get it. Like, at a certain point,
Oops.
I would be like, could you try it again? Like, if I'm production, if their team didn't get any IV, like, even if Troy didn't go in there and be like, hey, could I get it or could I try it? And he didn't even get it. Like, at a certain point, I feel like you should try it again. Like, when they're all trying to stay up, why not just like try it then? I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
what happens with collapsed veins or anything. I never, but it just, yeah, it stinks. It stinks that if they never tried it like hours later or whenever, like, if you're promised something and then we're never able to get it, it makes a lot of sense of what happened. And if that is correct and she was able to be in that much pain and then ultimately finish it going up and down, like, my hat's off to her for being such a fighter, and for Troy to carry her and like push her to finish. So yeah, I don't know.
Man,
That's
that
that's rough.
sucks. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely is not what well, we didn't see that, and that sucks that that actually had to happen to her. And why they couldn't just have like, hey, like, we're just going to take an extra 15 minutes so she can get the 15-minute IV or however long that they were giving them. Sucks that they couldn't just allow that to be fair.
Yeah.
All right, so next up, our second place finishing team, our favorite Danny and our least favorite Tori. I mean, of course, we are big fans of Danny. We also appreciate him being another one of the players this season that are invested in the fans and invested in all of us that appreciate his game and what he's bringing to the season. So definitely lots of love for Danny as a person and as a contestant in these shows. I would love to see him back. I don't know if he's going to come back. Um, I'm sure he'll get the call. I don't know if that's something that he is interested in doing right now because he does have a young child. And this season may put a little bit of a bad taste in his mouth when having to go up against his partner in this way. Like that just must have been so frustrating for like however long they were out there that they weren't ever on the same page. Like that just is like that's just annoying. That sucks. But we know that Danny is pretty amazing ex-football player, and he pretty much came in here and they did decently well. I think that they probably would have done better if they had better communication and if they were getting along better. I think they might have won dailies, or maybe Tori wasn't doing as well as she wanted to do because she didn't really want to win any power because she'd have to show her cards. So it's really hard to say with him being partnered with Tori as to why they didn't do better together because she had other people that she was putting in front of their duo. I would love to see Daddy again. I hope we do. Tori needs to take a break. I'm really, really over her. That's all I got to say.
Solid analysis of Tori there. I do agree that she needs to take some time off. I also would like to see her and Jordan not play on same seasons because it is starting to get into the cycle of just what are you doing kind of vibe. And if Tori and Jordan are going to happily try to take each other to every single finals, I just feel like we're going to see a point where it's going to end the same way. I mean, Tori and Jordan have been in 3 finals together, and Jordan has now won 2 out of those 3. And only one of which was because he had a partner that he probably wouldn't have picked, and that partner wouldn't have picked him at the end of the day. So, I mean, if he would have gotten a choice of a different partner, I'm sure he would have possibly made it to another finals and probably could have won those at the end of the day. So, I think Tori, a questionable strategy in my opinion, but still was able to get to the end with Danny. They didn't see a single elimination, and they got second place.
Why didn't you know how to ride a bike, though?
I mean, I can't be too. I can't say much about that because I had my bike sold. I had my bike sold to somebody else when I was 4 years old, and I never had a bike since. But I did get on a bike during high school once, and I was freaked out of my mind just on the street. And then I also got on a bike and rode it around a
roundabout
cul-de-sac.
Cul-de-sac, yeah.
In college once, and that's it. So if I had to go and do mountain biking, I think I would be a little bit nervous to do it, but I also have the ability to go like talk to my brother-in-law and be like, hey, take me out to do mountain biking. But yeah, I just don't think that Tori, I just think we're never going to see the end of Tori. So I just want to I really don't want to see her on the same season with Jordan. So that way maybe we can actually see her do maybe some decent gameplay. I don't know. I would like to see her in the Casey role from this season on another season and actually see the fight, because the last few seasons I don't think we've seen the fight. We've just seen more of the social cues and mainly the friendships, and it's aggravating to a certain point where it's just like, is this a game or is it what is this to y'all? Danny is incredible. I will never say no to seeing Danny on my TV screen. I thought he really served up trying to put his foot down on the game he wants to play and how he felt the game should be played and how he should be listened to, and not just whatever fold into whatever vets want to do. And I commend him for playing the game that he wanted to play, and him and Tori reconciling throughout the season. They could have easily been angry at each other the whole time. Heck, they could still be angry with each other, but they were able to put some of their anger aside at a certain point just to be like, okay, well, now we just need to go. We just need to work together. And hopefully we're both playing for the money at the end of the day. So I don't think you can be too mad at second place, but I think at a certain point you're going to be angry because you had the right strategy. You can ride a bike, but your partner is hindering you in multiple aspects of the gameplay and her physical ability of riding a bike. So yeah.
So I appreciate that you like did not get to have your youth riding bikes. So I'm sorry if I singled you out there. And
No,
I
it's all
guess
good.
I didn't think about the fact that there are people that just don't know how to ride a bike. But
I can do
if
Sudoku.
yes, you can do Sudoku. I believe that you can do Sudoku. And I also believe that, like you said, if you were going to go on one of these shows, you would maybe take a little crash course on bike riding, and maybe a little crash course on, like, I would take one on swimming, even though I've taken swimming lessons before. Like, I would practice deep diving underwater, and like swimming in like like open water where it's not like you have like the pool wall super close to you. So there's just things that I would do, I think, anyways. Well, if I had like the money that they have, like I would be training. This is a lot of money. Like, I would be training to put myself in the best position to be able to win those things. And so I just feel like riding a bike is something, it's that simple. It's like riding a bike, I wish that she did go back and learn how to ride a bike, because the fact that that was one of the reasons why they didn't do super well, I think that's really annoying.
Yeah.
Like, from a champion, a champion, and you can't ride a bike. It's frustrating. That
Yeah.
would
I can agree.
really, I mean, I'm sure that Danny in the moment wasn't mean to her or anything like that, and just was like, let's just keep going, let's keep moving. But on the inside, he must have been like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I had to deal with you, like, not working with me this whole season, and now, like, we're here in the final, and you can't do one of the major checkpoints in this game? Urgh! Lord have mercy. I would have been irritated. It's interesting too, because like with the bikes in general, like we have, I don't know if you have them in where you're from, but we have these like bike taxis. It's called in Montreal, it's called Bixi, which is bike taxi, and Toronto, I think it's called City Bike, where you can literally, there's just like bike lineups on every other street, where you
Mhm.
can just borrow a bike for the day, and like, you have a bike. So it's just, I remember I would use that because there was a bike depot thing right in front of my place, and then there was one at my work, so I just would take a bike to work every day. And so I just can't
Hmm.
imagine not having that have been part of like my life, because I couldn't ride a bike you know
Okay.
so yeah, I wish that she had learned how to ride a bike so that they could have been more competitive in this final. Boo.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Last but not least is our winners of the season. No real surprise here that they won. We were expecting them to be winning when we saw who was going to be running this final. We know that Jordan is pretty undefeated for the most part when it comes to finals. He's just good at everything, and he doesn't stop. And what I love about some of his motivation, or what he says to Kaz, is like, hey, walking is our rest. But you just got to keep walking. You can't stop. You got to keep walking. And I think that is the winner mentality. It's like, you keep moving. That I really like about how he runs these finals, is like, he makes people have to keep moving to keep up with him. If you stop, then that's an opportunity for them to catch up. So he's really, really amazing in this final. I love that he pushed Kaz to be able to get there and then get to the end. And like, I love that he was just like, it's you take it, yours, like, he was like encouraging
Mhm.
her to take that win and take the trophy, and like, he kind of ended up doing it for her. And I thought it was a pretty nice moment, and I was really happy to see Kaz get that win, especially since her ex-boyfriend got medically DQ'd, and so like, it was nice to see that she was at least able to win out of the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like it's funny how we can pinpoint certain things in people's strategies and be like, this is why they didn't make it this far or this anything. But when it comes down to who comes in first place, I mean, you can't really say they did anything wrong. I
Mhm.
mean, even voting yourself at the end of the one day, at the one voting ceremony. I mean, that's tough. That you shouldn't have done that. They put themselves in danger, but it ultimately worked out for them. They made it to the finals and they crushed the finals. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, Kaz is an incredible competitor, a
Mhm.
really strong athletic partner, and Jordan is Jordan. I mean, at this point, you can't let him get to the finals. Whoever he's partnered with, he's gonna make them hit a level that they may never have reached or never thought they could reach. And yeah, that's all I could say about it.
I expect them both to be back. I don't think Jordan's on the next one, but if we do that season 40 of winners, that would be definitely a time for Jordan to come back into the game. And Kaz, I think that she has given herself an open invitation to come on to the main and flagship show. I feel like she didn't have any hookups, but she usually finds somebody that she connects with. So I think that she's definitely somebody that I want to see her arc on the MTV seasons. I hope that she comes. I hope she's there. Both of them, I just think, will be back. So love them both. I think that I agree here. Yes, Danny was right. Get them out so that at least it's not that competitive. I know Danny just said that them being in the game wasn't the reason why they lost, and I think he was alluding to the biking portion. But if they weren't there, I do think that it would have been they would have been a little bit more competitive and potentially could have done a little bit better. So yeah, Danny was right. Get them out so you don't have to be running as fast as them and try to keep up with them. And even in that checkpoint where they had to wait for them to finish their checkpoint before they could complete that particular checkpoint, if somebody else was in the game, that would have been shaken up and configured a little bit differently. So obviously, we don't know what would happen, but we do know that Danny was right in being scared of Jordan in this game as winner. Well, that's pretty much it for this season. Anything else you want to say about Jordan and Kaz or anybody else in the game or the season on the whole or you being the winner of the draft?
Uh, Not really. I mean, I'm kind of glad the season is wrapped up. I mean, I know that the future right now looks a little murky in terms of when the next season is coming out, when the next announcement is going to be made. But right now, I'm kind of just having a breath of kind of like a sigh of relief that the game is over, that we wrapped up another season, and yeah, I just appreciate everybody for joining every single week to talk about and hear our views on these players and talk about the season and the cast and how the game is played out week to week. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Me too. Thank you so much, Drew, for hanging in there this whole season. Obviously, this is my fun time Fridays. Really enjoy doing these power rankings with you. So hopefully next season you'll be excited and willing to continue on with our Friday streak. Also want to thank everybody here in the chat. You guys are so loyal and so lovely. Especially all the bakery folks over there that are coming in to support us on my channel, to support your boy Drew here on Reality Realness. So it's awesome that you guys decide to still come over, even though it's me. You guys are super great. You guys also won the draft, so congratulations to you guys. Happy to have you here in the chat. You guys are honestly really fun. You guys make this is why we do it, because you guys are so engaged. You enjoy having these conversations about these seasons, about these players. We love it because you love it. And so thank you so much for being here. You guys are everything, as well as you are awesome too, Drew. I wouldn't be surprised if we do a recap of the season with Chris on the Nullified Take. So look out for that. That should be coming up soon. I haven't reached out to Danny yet, but he was suggesting that he would love to do a deep dive at some point. So look out for that. And if you have any questions that you do want us to ask Danny, please leave them in the comments, or you can message us on social media just to get those over if you want any pressing questions that you need to know from Danny, if we are able to get him on a little deep dive. So if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel. If you haven't subscribed to the Angelcake Entertainment channel, please do that as well. Like this video and leave in the comments, how do you feel about this season being over? What do you want to know from Danny? Even if what if you want to know from Troy? Because I wouldn't be surprised if Troy wanted to have another little deep dive with one of you two now that the season has concluded. I think that's everything. That's all I got. Anything? Final words? End of the season?
It's over.
It's over. Bye, everybody. Have a great long weekend here in Canada. Is it a long weekend in the States?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's Victoria Day, so you guys don't care about Queen Victoria. So, bye.
You guys have a whole holiday for Tory Deal? Whoa.
No,
Victoria
that's
Day.
not
Whoa.
Queen Victoria. That's not her.
Who's the Tory stand now? Everybody,
Oh,
see who's taking days off for Tory.
Yeah, they're not working because of Tory Deal. Bye. Thanks, Drew.